Councilwoman Cosby.
I would stand up so you could hear me better because my voice is a little low, but I don't want to get in trouble. I want to read the resolution, and this is the one that I've been begging the council for support on, and I was told by the council president to make sure we got it on, and it was a resolution. It was done properly. It was sent to legal. They edited it. They sent it back, and you all don't get the full, resolution. You just get a synopsis. For a number of years, I have been saying, and it's been falling upon deaf ears for the most part, that we have issues in our personnel practices as far as following our own policies. The personnel policy is updated, pretty frequently. It was on for tonight, and then I'm guessing someone from the committee wanted to add some other stuff. I believe it was social media, if I'm not mistaken. So it was removed so that we can have further consideration. My concern is that we are violating a number of our own policies. We are also violating NJSA 40A:9-22.5 and other violations, which include fraud, insurance fraud specifically, workplace bullying, workplace harassment, theft of time, changing of attendance records, improper FMLA records, and inconsistent enforcement of the written discipline policy, in addition to our failure to properly vet or properly secure information, credentials, and such before someone is allowed to collect their first paycheck. Without divulging everything in my request to do the investigation, which was not done in the previous investigations committees, I just have to say that the one was specific, but there was a range of things that they were looking at, and that had no problem. I didn't vote for it. I thought it was a witch hunt, but at the end of the day, when you want to move it up and you want to get someone to do a thorough investigation, which we had asked for in the first place, to send it to other people who are really investigating specific things such as that, then I supported that because it was the right thing to do. Nobody's ever going to say Rashawn is not in support of transparency and honest government, right? Because I am. This committee is determined that it's appropriate. It's going to city council, if we approve it, it's going to determine that it's appropriate for the municipal committee investigations, right? And on the committee, according to the resolution, it would be myself, Councilman Armando Medina, and Councilman Muhammad. Now, when I asked for people to be on the committee, my request was that it was no one who served on the personnel committee in the last 2 or 3 years, and no one who had a relative or close friend. So my aunt does work for dispatch. However, she took a test to get her job. I did not vote for her to get her job. So I just think that that doesn't even count anyway. So I feel I'm qualified to sit on the committee. Our Councilman Medina is objective, and as you can see, he and I agree to disagree, and it's not a big argument or whatever. It is what it is. So we have to be objective. It's scary to say, but Councilman Muhammad would probably be more objective than most because he doesn't really have any friends or close family members who work for the city. So that's the reason why it was drafted this way. I'm asking for the council to support this. And it's not a witch hunt. I'm not going after any individual. I don't want to get a Oprah request at my job tomorrow. I don't want to get another tort complaint. Right? So I've been in, everybody wants to, and I'm so glad Peter's not here. I just want you to, I'm so glad he's not here. To say that it's the way I treat people. I treat people fairly. I treat them how I want to be treated as well. So I'm upfront with them, right? And I think that we should do a thorough investigation and find out why, and I think I said it publicly before, why someone has a job in the city of Linden and their application was dated 23 days after they started work. That's what we need to be investigating, things like that, right? We want to investigate how you have someone deemed ineligible 3 times and still had a job in the position they were deemed ineligible for, If somebody puts in an application and their education is blank and you're required to have a high school diploma, but it's blank, how do you get a job? and then don't prove that you have a high school diploma or the equivalency. Those are the things that we need to investigate. We also need to investigate how high-paid employees are out sick, can't come to work, but they don't show up on an FMLA report. You see? I watch a lot of things and I have a really good memory. So it's time that we really seriously consider doing an investigation. It's nothing personal. It's all about the business, right? This is what we need to be doing, the city's business. Why are people leaving the city? Why are they leaving? Why are they quitting? Why are they resigning? Right? Is it something in our personnel policy? Is it something we need to do better, or do differently? So those are things that we need to be looking at. So I'm just asking. I don't want anybody to argue back with me. I'm not trying to be negative. I just want people to just vote for it, yes or no. It's not like I haven't said this for months on end. I appreciate that it was drafted, finally. And we'll see. Watch how the members vote, period. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Mohammed.
Thank the Honorable Councilwoman for her kind and truthful remarks. I respectfully decline to be on such a committee because I don't think it's needed. I think the problem in government today is we have all kinds of committees. The Personnel Committee is sufficient, and I would urge the Councilwoman in her nobility and honorable status to bring to the attention of this body or the Personnel Committee any violations may find in personnel matters. I just don't see the need for that. And any other investigatory committees I served on certainly was for the purpose of investigating and never to engage in a witch hunt. That went out with the Salem witch trial. And I'm not for wasting government time or money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hickey.
Again, I'm sorry I misbehaved before and misspoke, but I guess because of the topic of this resolution, I could say a few things. I do have the same concerns as Councilwoman Cosby, considering the fact that I've had several residents, well, really two specifically, over the years that have been Linden residents their whole lives. One's family has worked in the city, in the same department his whole life, and somehow these individuals from the 10th Ward never come up to get a job, whether it be in, well, usually DPW. And I find it really unfortunate because, as Councilwoman Cosby has said, there has been many unqualified people that have been hired who don't have maybe their high school diploma, and I'm not judging by any means, or a driver's license, or a good history. So these are problems that we do need to attack because it's not fair anymore. And of course we are going to have the same individuals on this dais right now who are going to, the same exact vote as usual. Just like a circumstance, and I'm not going to bring up her name, as we had. I've had individuals in my ward who have approached me, and because they haven't done a certain job for an individual council person, they were, that they weren't supposed to do because it wasn't right. But this individual happens to own a business and was closing on a house. And on Monday morning, she had a letter on her desk that she had to be transferred. These things that go on, we do need transparency.
You were asked earlier regarding this.
Huh? I didn't say any names. I'm just setting examples without names.
Council President, you're not mentioning any names, Councilwoman, but you're clearly talking about the one individual.
Well, that's why we have this resolution up,
So, again,
Mr. Antonelli, because the concern is there
Council
from...
President, you could call the Councilwoman out of order, and she needs to cease her comments.
Councilwoman.
But I didn't say anything, I didn't mention any names. I'm speaking of examples as Councilwoman Cosby did.
Councilwoman.
And this is why everyone's leaving Linden, everyone. It's very, very sad. I have nothing to gain from any of this. Nothing. Nobody pays for the roof over my house. Everyone, many up here, they have deep pockets. I don't.
Councilwoman Ormond.
I just have to make the comment that sometimes when the shoe is on the other foot, we cry foul. My first year as a council person, we had 10 seasonal employee positions available. And collectively as a governing body, we sat down, hey, let's be fair. Let's make sure each council person gets to find somebody in their ward to give a little 6-month seasonal job to. We all collectively agreed upon that the day that the chairperson of personnel was not in. Following day, everything changed. Boom, people got positions, and some of those people had only lived in Linden for 30 days. Where's the justice in that? So when we sit ready to cry foul as to what we're doing now, let's go back 8 years. Let's see some of the nonsense that went on back then, because I was just totally floored. Now, the next thing, we talk about the word fair and objective. Well, I find it very difficult to think that that committee is going to be fair. We know that the person that heads the personnel department is, how can I put it, always subject to a contentious conversation. I don't want to be on that committee because I have a different type of relationship with the personnel director. Our children are involved. So I would never, ever, ever want to be part of it. Not that I can't be objective, because the people would find everything, not to crucify me, but to destroy my child, and I'm never going to let that happen. Because, yeah, they would. But the bottom line is, we cannot be objective, because if you're going to be on that committee, you have to be able to tell me that you've never, ever had a fight with the woman. You have to be able to tell me that you never were nasty to the woman. You have to tell me that you never, ever accused her husband of anything. We have this history between the people that want to be on this committee and the person that's in charge of our personnel department. And I, for one, am going to vote no just because of that. You gotta be, you can't be, contentious with the person that you want to investigate, because you lose credibility in my book. You lose credibility. That's all I want to say.
The council president said I could
Excuse me.
speak. Let me just be clear. I'm not investigating an individual, so we're clear, okay? You're talking about the lady who called the cops on me twice? That lady, right? Her husband told me to suck his balls, and then he got promoted? Is that who you're talking about? I'm not looking to
That's
investigate
exactly what
an
I'm talking about.
individual. We are investigating the failure to follow our policies. Now, here's the thing. Be clear. I don't talk to this person. I talk to Alan Roth, and I talk to Joe Bodek. Because this person, if I look at her or look in her direction, she's going to file a complaint because she wants to get a lawsuit.
Councilwoman.
So be clear. I'm very objective. I know how to separate business and my home life and personal life. And I've exhibited that here in the past 9 years, right? I have done that. I've been attacked here, outside. I'm not jumping up and down filing complaints. I put my big girl panties on and I sit here and I do my job. And that's what I want us to do as a governing body. If Mr. Muhammad doesn't want to be on a committee, then I would offer it to Mr. Blank, because guess what? He just told you he's objective. He's not bought by anybody. And this is an opportunity for him to see how the city works and how he can be, contribute as a new member of the governing body. But if it goes down, be clear, if it is voted down tonight, that's going to just show you what the commitment to not only the workforce, but the members of the public. Because a happy employee is a happy customer, right? And if you don't have happy employees, then we get shoddy service at the end of the day. And that's all. I'm not investigating any individual. And I'm insulted that you would think I would go after any one person. It's the policy that I'm actually trying to fix.
Excuse me, we do not speak from the public.
Council President?
I will call you out of order.
Yeah.
You have to approach the dais at the public comment section, sir.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to comment on this. I'm not the personnel expert. It's one of those things I'm slowly learning. I've learned a lot in my 2 years on council. A lot about the landfill. I know a lot about engineering, things I'm good at, accidents and traffic and stuff like that. But I don't know much about personnel, so I wouldn't offer myself to serve on this committee. However, if it appeases the council, because I have concerns. We've all heard them. The council has had these discussions, or let's generalize that, has had discussions on personnel issues that are concerning, and people that are going to vote no have agreed that there are concerning issues. This is really simple. It does the same thing that the council has done for the last couple months, which is allows them to ask questions in a session between three, objective people. I would like to suggest that we turn it over to Mr. Blaine, who clearly seems very objective and honorable man. And so we can just change the resolution right now and just take out Mr. Muhammad, who said he doesn't want to serve, and put in Mr. Blaine, and then let them do, what they got to do. It's oversaw by our city attorneys. You got 3 council people on there that are objective, and let's see if they can help fix our personnel policy and help fix other issues going on in the city, like the application thing and other things that are just not supposed to be happening. So, thank you, Council President.
Councilman Blaine?
I do appreciate and it's an honor to be mentioned, but I would tell you my expertise is in finance. I really don't have expertise in personnel issues. I'm very new and I'm getting to learn the process. And the one thing that I need everyone to understand is that there is a process. And so before I make a judgment call, I have to make sure that we all understand and are following the procedures and the process. And until that point, I won't be making a decision, and I don't want to be on no committee that I don't understand.
If I may. There was a committee of just 2 people the last time. So if we just eliminate Councilman Muhammad from Resolution 407, we can move forward with Councilman Medina and Councilwoman Cosby, because I remember the last committee only had 2 people. The one that's currently still pending, if that's at all possible.
Okay, Councilwoman Ormond?
I'm just going to still say that there's a fine line between investigating policies and the one who is in charge of those policies coming into fruition. It stinks. I mean, like I said, yes, you want to investigate the policies, but ultimately, who's the person that signs off on everything? We do. No. Before it gets to us, who signs off on it? The committee. Oh, let's not be cute. But it comes through that department head, and like I said, there's a fine line. There's a real fine line, and we cannot blur that line. And I'm just sorry. I just don't.
Ms. Vlasic, you're out of order. Yeah, here we go.
I mean, I'm entitled to how I feel, and I just don't trust, not you, but I just don't trust the process. Okay? Step back from the committee.
No.
Does any other council members wish
'Cause
to
I don't-
speak? Mayor, do you? No? Okay.
Oh, I'll be on the committee. I'd be happy to be.
No.
Councilman, I'd like to have a moment to speak. Councilman Muhammad, you're wrong. If this committee goes through, there will be another Salem witch hunt here, okay? If you read the body of this resolution, it's very open-ended. When Councilwoman Cosby was chairwoman of the committee, so many talk about disheartened employees. There were more tort claims filed with the city while she was chairwoman. So I will not support this due to the fact that we have asked her to come to the, send an email requesting to come to the person. I see she's shaking her head no. And these would be discussed, her concerns. So rather than do things through the proper channels, through the Personnel Committee, she wants to grandstand and have political theater here. And sorry, I cannot support that. So, and as far as the other investigative committees, they were very clear and specific of what were being investigated. Like I said, this will be a total witch hunt. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
And I have a
Council
comment.
President,
I
Council
have a
President, may I?
Mayor
May I?
Armstead?
Yes. We've had 2 investigative committees this year, okay? One was investigating whether or not an individual was coming to work. We hired an outside auditor, non-associated with anybody in this governing body, and they did the research, and we come up with some tangible results that indicated that he was not at work and that the city had, in fact, been defrauded out of $148,000. We formed another investigative committee when
Councilman Roman in the 6th Ward illegally entered the Department of DPW, and it's fact, he...
Ms. Vlasic, you're out of order. This is the second time I'm calling you out. This will be enforced tonight. You will be removed.
The premises was locked. The premises was locked, so we formed an investigative committee as to whether or not he entered the premises legally, and the answer to that is being formulated by the committee as we speak right now. So as this other investigative committee that Councilman Cosby wants to form, it's very vague, and I believe it's in fact vindictive, because she has some issues with some of the individuals who work in personnel. She has some issues with the fact of the matter is that the process of hiring is no longer in her hands, because I do recall that we had a meeting last year, and we discussed going around the table to hire all of the individuals who are going to be seasonal and anybody else who's going to go around the table, and we were all in favor of it, and the following day you got to the meeting, and all of a sudden it changed, and you picked all the names. So let's not sit here and play games and try to convince the public that you're some saint that just landed here on the council, on the dais, and want to do everything right now, okay?
If I can, please. Check my record. That's all I need to say. Check my record, and he's not being honest. Here's the thing. How do you make anything happen without people voting for it, right? So the councilwoman had me go through all the drama of getting the resolution drawn up, knowing full well that I wasn't going to give the specifics, but what I will do, okay, I'll give you specifics. There's a woman who was hired in May. Her name is Stacy.
Councilwoman,
What?
you're out of order.
You want to know?
You are out of order.
Why am I out of order? People are hired who did not provide education on their application, and they were hired. They did not
Councilwoman.
provide proof of education.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
they were
on the floor.
hired.
I'm calling for a vote. Mr. Clerk, please.
Yep.
Mr. Diego Acevedo, whatever you're out of order. I'm calling, this is your first time, I'm calling you out, second time you're out. Zero tolerance here tonight.
Can I go to the state for this if y'all don't want to do it? What's my recourse?
Mr. Clerk, I called for a roll.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes on everything, no on 407.
Javik?
Yes on everything, no on 407.
Mohammed?
Yes on everything, absolutely no on 407.
Mrs. Crosby? Ms. Crosby?
So I'm voting no for 410. I'm abstaining on 412 and 417. And I'm going to the State of New Jersey Department of Consumer Affairs for every single council member who votes no for this. And I'm giving them specifics. Yes to the rest.
Roman?
Councilwoman, the DCA is very good. I will tell you that. I will vote no for 411, respectfully. No for 47. I'll abstain for 417. Not that my council told me to. And I'm going to vote yes to the rest. Thank you, Councilman.
Strano?
Yes on all, and I will not be threatened by anybody in this room or on this council, and no on 407.
Blaine?
Yes on everything.
Officer, will you please come in? I have individuals on this side of the room that are constantly calling this meeting out of order. Mr. Diego Acevedo, this is the second time I'm calling him out. Sir, you're out of order. Well,
I'm sick anyway.
please continue with the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Blaine, you voted
Yes on everything, abstaining on.
Councilwoman, you're out of order.
How many times is that?
Enough.
Open the door.
Again.
I got dismissed, you guys. Thank you. I feel better tomorrow. Chill. We did all of that. Months of all that. This is taking you gonna vote for protecting individuals?
Councilwoman,
What?
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Blaine.
Mr. Blaine was...
Okay.
Vote.
For the third time,
Thank you, Mr. Blaine.
yes on everything except abstaining on 407, 411, and 412.
Medina.
No on 411, abstaining on 417, yes to the rest.
Hickey. She leave too? Did Mrs. Hickey?
She left the dais without notifying.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
No.
No to all?
No, no to 407, yes to the rest.
That would have made things interesting.
There's
She missed the vote.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 no to 407, and 1, 2 yes to 407 and 1 abstention, and 1 absent from the room.
Okay.
Motion for 407 is defeated.
Okay. Ordinances on first...
58.
58, rather. Sorry.
An ordinance amending Chapter 2-7 entitled
Councilwoman Cosby, you're out of order. You're sitting there in the public, you're disrupting the meeting again. Officers, Mr. Antonelli, please have her removed. You're disrupting a public meeting here, ma'am. Please continue, Ms. Clerk.
An ordinance
Sad.
amending Chapter 2-7
This is sad.
entitled Administrative Organization by the City Council of the City of Linden.